everyone, and welcome again to Let's KeKe, episode 9. I'm super excited to be continuing to do the podcast and to have amazing people come on the show. Again, this is to build a community for everyone to network together, to grow together, to learn together. And today I have Caitlin Kellermeyer, and she's one of my favorite people. Energy is always just bubbling, and I just love her so much. And let's welcome her and bring her onto the stage. She is a stage manager, and I'm excited to get some gems from her today. Hey, Caitlin.
Hi, KeKe.
As I said, you're one of my favorite people. And for those that don't know, Caitlin and I met when we were doing the college program at Disney, and she was one of my fantastic roommates.
I was literally just telling my team the other day about us living together at Disney.
But you never know, like, God universe put us together, you know what I mean? Because I definitely felt like I was with part of my soul family when I was down there. Because I was like, I got along with everybody. I was like, everybody else was having problems. We were like making it happen.
Yeah.
Well, as I said before, Caitlin, you're currently working as a stage manager, but as we love to do, we like to, see how the journey has transpired for you and like what it's like moving forward in your purpose and everything, what you're doing. So diving back into like, were you always the creative type or outgoing type or ready just to get something started?
Definitely always the creative type. I think like when I was younger, I thought I was going to be a pop star, which like maybe I still am in my head, but but not quite the career choice I went with. Like I always like sang a lot. I danced as a kid. I did synchronized swimming. So definitely like always active, always doing something that was like competitive or performing situation. I originally went to school for broadcast journalism, so I like thought I was going to be a news anchor too. But
look, you're doing that today.
Yeah. So like a bit of the same stuff, just backstage instead of in front of a camera, in front of an audience.
Yeah. And so when was like the first time you was on stage yourself?
The first time I was on stage was I did a production of The Velveteen Rabbit. And I was probably like first or second grade. I was definitely a kid. And I was the little wind-up mouse. And I remember my dad was like the old rocking horse in the show. So I got to do the show with my dad. And I thought that was just so cool. And my literal, like my only job as the wind-up mouse was to like run around on stage.
You're like, I got this.
Yeah. I was like, oh, you need an over-energized kid? I got you.
And that's awesome. So the competitive spirit to like go above and beyond, that was always like ingrained in you to like.
Yeah. I feel like my mother put me in every sport possible.
Really?
Yeah. I like kind of stuck with like basketball through like junior high, and like I think I stopped like when I moved to Texas.
Okay.
But, like since growing up in Arizona, I mean it's hot in Arizona. And I think like my mom had signed my brother up for swim team. And they had synchronized swimming as like something that you could also sign up for. And it was kind of like, oh, this is like water dancing and dances. So this will help keep her active in the summer. It was a sport that I loved doing, and I kept up with that like up until high school too.
That's cool. I've always liked watching the synchronized swimmers because they're like just on point with everything. And I'm like, you're doing that in water? That's like an extra step right there. Dancing alone is enough, but in water too? Whew.
Yeah.
And you can't breathe.
Definitely for that.
That's awesome. And so like with being a stage manager, you said that you did go to school for that, or where did you go? How did that fall out for you?
Yeah, so in my like senior year of high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to be. In one of my classes, I had to like write essay about like what I wanted to do in the next 5 years, like that sort of thing. And growing up in Arizona, one of my childhood friends, her dad worked for like one of the local news offices, news reporting. But I was like, oh, like that would be fun to like work for a news broadcast. And I used to get up every morning in high school and watch the news before I would go to school. And there was this guy called the Y guy who would like write in questions and he would go and answer them. And like during certain parts of during football seasons, he would do these like 6 a.m. pep rallies and go to your school. And I would be like, maybe this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to Sam Houston State University, which is like an hour outside of Houston. And I was majoring in broadcast journalism and minoring in theater because I still really loved theater and like being in the arts. And through high school, I did theater and choir and show choir. And the classes, like going through the classes my freshman year, they were just not holding my attention as much as I'd want to. I really I still haven't had an interest for it, but I was just having so much fun learning about different theater elements. So the end of my freshman year, I ended up switching my major to theater. And I still kind of took a few broadcast journalism classes, but they kind of tapered off as I progressed through college. And it was sometime in my sophomore year, I wasn't cast in a show. And there was a play called The Colored Museum, and they were looking for a stage manager. And I was like, I have no idea what that means, but like, I still want to like participate in something this year. I want to be active in like the theater community. So like, why not like be the stage manager? So I like walked into the office and I was like, I'm the stage manager now. I then had to learn what a stage manager was after that. But it was kind of like, through that show, I kind of realized like, oh, I think I actually enjoy stage managing more than I do being on stage. Like on stage, you have to like memorize all your lines, and if they're singing and dancing, memorize that stuff, which like, yes, people do. And I think my brain just maybe was not cut out for that. Like I can memorize a song, but
yeah,
memorizing lines, no thanks. And so it just kind of progressed that like as each semester would go on, they'd be like, oh, we don't have a stage manager. Do you want to be this stage manager? Do you want to be this stage manager? And then in my junior year of college, we ended up getting a stage management professor who ended up being my mentor, whose father you worked with at Disney.
Yeah.
And Larry was kind of the first one to sit me down and be like, this is a career. You're really good at this. Have you thought about making this a career? And I just kind of stuck with it. I mean, post-college, I did like a few things in outside of the stage management realm, but they were still kind of like in the theater management bubble. But back in stage management and loving it.
It's kind of like it was your calling, but you already knew you like kind of had a soft spot for it. And then it was like, hey, we have stage management. It's open. It's like kept calling for you. Like,
yeah.
Say no.
I think I kept trying to be like, no, I want to be an actor. No, I want to be a singer. And it was like, but stage management is over here if you want to. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And that's crazy how that happens sometimes. It kind of nudges us in a direction that we, you still kind of was like, okay, I guess. But being a stage manager, like, you have to make sure everything's on point, right? Like, what are some of your duties, like, throughout the day?
So I'm dealing with schedules. I'm dealing with the call of the show. Like, in rehearsals, we're kind of like the liaison between the different departments. We're letting the cast know like what time they're called, what scenes we're rehearsing, what dances we're learning. we'll send reports to be like, okay, the director wants to make this change about this scenic element, and is it possible? And we want to add this costume to this number, sort of thing. And then once you get into the actual run of the show, that's what you're calling. So you're calling light cue changes, you're calling like the different scenic elements coming in and out, or in if it's like the rail. And then you're just kind of there to like support the show, note it, to kind of keep it like, so that what you started at as point A, like 300 shows later, you're still close to like what point A was. So it's just kind of fun. It is like, it's a creative element. It's just a creative element.
It is.
Instead of on stage.
Yeah. Because like for you to be responsible for making sure, the actors have to do their job to be on the stage, but you're making the dream come true. Making sure everything's running seamlessly.
Yeah. He described it to me the other day as like the conductor of the show.
Yeah.
Which I loved that description, because it's like you have the conductor in the orchestra who's telling like each instrument when to start, when to go, like when the flow of the music is. And that's kind of what I'm doing, except for the entirety of the show.
Yeah. You're making the dreams come to life, because like if I'm sitting in the audience and I'm seeing all the ambiances going on, like that takes like organization, great communication skills, time management, all of that.
Yeah.
And that's some qualities that people are still striving to do on a daily basis, just at a job they sit at a desk, So that's awesome. So after leaving school, like what was your first like introduction into like, because I know, for example, I wanted to go see the Tina Turner show, but I wasn't able to, but because of my time management skills and stuff I had to do, but what was like besides that show, what led up to that one?
After school, I went and interned at the La Jolla Playhouse, which is a very well-known theater in the San Diego area, and loved my time there. That was right before I went to Disney. And even when we were at Disney, I took, it wasn't a stage management class, but it was like a backstage theater class that I thoroughly enjoyed. And we got to like tour Fantasmic and ask questions to the crew and the people that ran that show. And then after Disney, I worked at a few summer stock theaters, like doing props and company management. And company management is kind of like taking care of the production outside of the show. So you deal with like company members' travels to and from the theater, and you deal with like anything, if they have like any home issues, like you help them with housing and anything that might come up in company housing issues, like that sort of thing. Company management is almost like being like the landlord or like for the actors and the crew members and musicians who are coming in and out of the show. And I enjoyed my time as a company manager, but I just really missed stage management. So I started touring again with different children's shows. I worked with a company called TheaterWorks USA. So I did like Skippy John Jones and Pete the Cat and Magic School Bus. And that was like a huge learning experience for me, because it was you and like 5 or 6 other actors, and you would drive to a school or a theater or a gym or somewhere and build your set, perform, and then take down the set and drive yourselves to the next location.
Wow.
It was insane. But it was really cool. Like I really loved those sort of tours, because I got to see so much of America that like I never would have seen had I not.
Yeah.
Because those tours kind of like will hit the bigger cities, but they'd also hit the smaller like suburbs and stuff. Since like you could perform like in a gymnasium, then you could go to like middle of nowhere, Nebraska, but you get to see middle of nowhere, Nebraska, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And then through that, I kind of I got onto White Christmas, and I did that tour, and I loved that tour. I was with them for about 3 years. But what was great about White Christmas is you'd only do it in the winter seasons. So you would do like October, November, December, and then be done. And then the rest of the year work on other shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And then getting Tina in was kind of by connection. Larry, who was my stage management professor in college, who became my mentor, was the PSM, which is kind of like the top tier within the stage management level. And he said he wanted me to come with him, and I said absolutely yes. And that's how I kind of got on that show. And then I was with Tina for about a year and a half, maybe a little more, give or take. But when Larry left, Eric Sprosky, who's the PSM for Back to the Future, replaced him. And through my connection with Eric, that's how I moved to Back to the Future. So right now, it's just kind of been like the people I've met along the road are kind of just like taking me with them. And I'm enjoying that.
Literally taking you under their wing and just like, come on, let's
exactly.
But that speaks volumes to you, as you know, like for someone to even want to take the time to mentor or to take you on the journey with them, that speaks a lot to you. Like, you know, your passion, your energy, what you present every time that you know, step on any stage as helping or behind the scenes, that means a lot. Like they see it in you. Like you're gonna be mentoring a bunch of other people. Have you ever thought about mentoring at one point?
I do. Like while I'm on the road, like sometimes I'll do like classes for college students. I used to, when I'm able to, I sit on the board of judges for the Stephen Sondheim Awards. And the Stephen Sondheim Awards feeds into the Jimmy Awards, and the Jimmy Awards it's basically like the Tonys for high school students. So the Stephen Sondheim Awards is like the Connecticut area. It's like Connecticut and Delaware, and I think there's one other place. I shouldn't. But it's like all of these different high schools. You go and you essentially like judge their high school production about like, this is what you did great in the set. This is what you would need to work on, like constructive criticism about like, how can you help this high school advance their show to the next level? Like even if it's a school that doesn't have, like they might say, oh, we don't get a budget from the school. This is all done by volunteer work, or this is all done by donation from the community. Then you can still look at that show and be like, okay, with this donation, you could try doing this instead, sort of thing. So it's all like, how can you help improve the community theater, essentially, to help these students like improve themselves before going into college? And me being as a stage manager, then like when we would go into like our final rounds, like I would do like a stage management class with the stage managers, and like, this is the paperwork I did, and this is a show, and this is like, let me show you a clip of the show that I'm working on. And I would like do like for Tina, I would call like the mega mix for them and see what, like have them ask questions about like, how did I do this? Or like, what does this mean on stage? So it's nice in like that aspect, like having like setting little seeds for the future stage managers.
Yeah. And that's important too, because like you said, they are the seed of our future. And, you know, like that extra care, you know, at that early stage can set them up for, you know, some might be like, oh, I wanted to be in front of the stage, but I want to be behind the scenes as well, you know, like just letting them know that avenue is also possible as well, you know. Because sometimes they feel like, you know, I might not make it as an actor, but, you know, I can be behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, I always tell any of the high school kids I talk to who are aspiring stage managers, I always tell them that I'm jealous of them at where they're standing. In high school, I didn't know what stage managers were. I didn't know that stage management was a thing. And like the fact that they already know and they're already interested, like they're leaps and bounds above where I was.
Exactly. And it's just taking that time, mentoring kids, man. It's like, I love doing it because like they're just so, they're fresh. They don't know. And it's like when you feel like you're giving them something that might set them up for the future, just knowing that little thing that it exists, like that's important. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm happy that you're doing that because I know it puts a smile on your face to see that ambition too, and that like light bulb go off when they're like,
Yes.
oh, okay. But maybe one day you'll have like your own like class studio and everything. And so now your current project is Back to the Future. Tell us how that's going, because that's one of my favorite movies. So
It is so much fun. It's wild. It's literally like you take the movie and you put it on stage and you just add music. Like, Bob Gale, who is the creator of Back to the Future, the movie franchise, also helped kind of like aspire this into the musical. And he was with us the whole entire time. He was so amazing and so great to work with. You can tell that this man like really loves this this franchise that he's created. And like, I remember when I was in rehearsals, I got to shadow the backstage Broadway show just to kind of like get the feel of like the run of the show, how things move backstage. And Bob came up to me in rehearsal and was like, Caitlin, I saw you were backstage at Broadway. Like, how was it? Did you have fun? And it's just like endearing to have like that sort of energy in the room, starting from the top, because it trickles down. So like,
Mhm.
you're excited for the show and you created this show, like it's gonna but it's a lot of fun. It's high energy. The DeLorean is there. Like,
I know you want to take a ride in the DeLorean.
yes.
Let me see if it really works.
It's just a really fun, kooky show to be on. Like, the cast and the crew are amazing. The band is great. Like, everything about it is just like, it's like being in like a little cartoon almost. Like,
Yeah.
everyone's all like happy to be there.
And that energy is contagious too, like you said. And the fact that, like you said from the top, that, like that he knows you by name, he cares about what you think about it, like that speaks volumes to him, that he's passionate about this and everybody that works on this project as well.
Yeah, it's fun. I've definitely enjoyed my time with this show so far.
And how long does this show run for? Or is it going to different states, or is it just
Going to different states. We hit Canada, which I'm excited about. I've never done that before. Right now we just have our schedule out for the year, but it feels like there could be more coming soon, which is nice.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I went to Canada once. It was nice. I want to go back and check that out again. I didn't have time to really experience it, but I want to go back for a whole week.
Like 6 weeks, I think.
Oh, really?
This is
And that's awesome too about, just being on different shows. Is like you said before, it's like being able to experience different environments and stuff, and that's awesome. Traveling. Do you enjoy traveling, or do you like feel like you get kind of like jet lagged or anything like that, or you just love it?
I definitely enjoy the travel aspect. I would say, like, if you ask me in 6 months, I'm going to be annoyed that I'm living out of one suitcase, but I'm still going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting paid to like go to different cities to show this show to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a fun, like, it's a show that like nobody has ever seen before.
Yeah.
That's the cool aspect of it, is like, it's a brand new show. You're introducing it to America, basically. Like, they might have seen clips, or they might have gone to New York and like seen it on Broadway. But nobody's seen our show before.
Wow. Well, everybody needs to make sure they go see your version of the show.
Yes.
Like, I know I, for one, like, yeah, I would love to see it as well. And so thank you so much, Caitlin, for your time and energy today, and like just, sharing some knowledge on that, and probably inspiring other people that didn't even know this opportunity could exist like this and what it entails. We always like to close out the show with a quote, and we have a quote, but I'm saying this quote is from you because this resonates with you. Every show is someone's first show. When did that like really like sink into you? Like, oh, let me take a step back and think about this.
I honestly think it started with when I was doing the children's show tours. Like when you would travel to an elementary school, or you would travel to like a high school gym, like when you would go like, or to a high school, and you would get all the big buses like coming in, like that was like the kids' field trip, was to see the show. Like that sort of thing is like, this kid might have never seen a theater production before, and now they're sitting in the audience about to watch Magic School Bus, and it's going to be their first introduction to theater. And I kind of like remind myself of that even on Back to the Future. Like with our setup, we have like a shot of our conductor, our MD cam, and behind him you can see audience members. But every once in a while you get that kid in the front row, and you're like, the show is for that kid, because that kid might have like, this is, if it's not their first theater production, it's their first time seeing Back to the Future. And watching the amazement from those audience members, even if it's like the tiniest little camera shot, like it's worth it.
Wow. And I'm gonna like stop the show on that note, because that is the truth. Like your experience, like that might be the first thing that sets the tone for someone to like want to continue watching. Like if you don't put the effort into that production, then you're like, oh, okay, whatever. They might not want to ever go see another one again.
Yeah.
So having your passion about that and setting the tone, that's amazing. So I appreciate you so much, Caitlin, and I'm sure we'll chime in again on future projects.
Yes, I appreciate you, KeKe. It's so great to see your face.
You as well. Take care.
You too.
Thank you, everyone, for chiming in and for this episode on Let's KeKe. And remember that we're learning together, growing together. And if you want to be on our show, just email at letskekeshow@gmail.com. And thank you, and chime in for next time. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.